So this isn't really a trade story, but it is involving the Montreal Canadiens and a prospect that I think a lot of fans are very interested in seeing his overall development. Because today we had ourselves word that prospect Florian Xhekaj from Brantford has been suspended for 2 games as a result of actions he made on March 6th at Mississauga. Now, before we dive into everything that happened, let's just go over Florian Xhekaj. Obviously, he's the younger brother of Arber Xhekaj, 19 years old, 6'2", 174 left-handed left-wing player, and he was a 101st overall pick by the Canadiens in the 2023 draft. 4th-round guy, net front presence, he is a professional player, he doesn't just plant himself in front, he moves his feet, presents his stick, and detaches from defenders just as the puck comes through. He's got tricky one-timers and high-skill deflections as scoring tools, complemented by those off-puck reads. Florian Xhekaj has had a pretty alright season, all things considered, a point-per-game guy for the Brantford Bulldogs, which is a very good step up from his 25-point season in 68 games played last year. Definitely an improvement over the OHL free agent that was his older brother Arber, but for Florian, because we recognize that Arber has this, he's got this attitude to his game, he's feisty, he can hit guys, he can fight, he can be a little bit tough to deal with if you're a Canadiens opponent of the night. Florian Xhekaj may have himself a similar kind of snarl. Because when it comes to the suspension for 2 games, we also had ourselves a video included as to what happened. Take a look at this post made by Generals Live. Florian Xhekaj was ejected for this 5-minute major check from behind, and then was given a 10-minute misconduct for abuse of officials for continuously shoving the linesman, trying to get at the Mississauga player who was mad he just buried his teammate from behind. Not smart from Xhekaj. And in this video, if you scroll over, you'll see that the Xhekaj hit does happen towards the bottom of the screen here. He boards the guy, number 43 at the bottom of your screen over there. And then, as the scrum continues, you see Xhekaj kind of pushing and shoving the referee as he's trying to get to the player out on the side there. Not a good look. He really, really goes hard at the ref here in order to get to the other player for Mississauga. But at the end of the day, this is another one of these things where, unfortunately, you're just not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to go out there shoving the referees around. And when it comes to the hit, the hit itself was already a 5-minute major, but then 10-minute misconduct for shoving around the linesman. And you know what I found really funny about this entire conversation with Florian Xhekaj and the suspension? Was the comment section thread on the Habs subreddit. Take a look at this post made by GoHabsGo31. They talk about the Florian Xhekaj suspension for 2 games. The only way to slow a unicorn down. That's kind of funny. I won't disagree with that there. What happened? Nightfall goes out there and asks. Florian Xhekaj made a sketchy hit from behind a few feet before the boards, and then, quote-unquote, accidentally hit the referee who was holding him back. I'm surprised he didn't get more. And the reply here says that Florian Xhekaj is the Maurice Richard reincarnation. And you know what? All history lessons aside, I found that very funny. The Richard riots, eh? The Maurice Richard going after the referee and wailing on the guy for injustice on the ice. I'm not saying that this is a comparable thing at all. Obviously, we recognize that Maurice Richard was a legend and there was a reason he was going after the referees and it was more politics than anything, but look, this is a hit from behind. This is a referee trying to stop the action. This is Florian Xhekaj making a bad move and trying to get that referee out of his gosh darn way in order to feast on the other player in front of him. You kind of have to go think about it too, right? This is part of the charm that makes the Xhekaj brothers so unique, that they do have that snarl, that undying desire to get what's right, and what they felt was right in that moment may just be physical violence against the opposition. And for Florian Xhekaj, with the point production, of course, you like to see the improvements there, but the penalty minutes are also racking themselves up too, so I'm going to be very intrigued as to seeing what Florian Xhekaj ends up becoming as his career goes on. If you want to talk about the Maurice Richard thing, I guess we could go into a little bit of a history lesson here too, just in case y'all need the scoop as to who Maurice Richard is and why he's a good player. But he was the Rocket for a reason. He was the best goal scorer in the NHL before many of the main guys came along, the Howes, the Gretzkys, the everybody else is involved. One of the only guys to have 50 goals in 50 games played, and the first one to do it as well. He set history back in the 40s for being able to pull this off. I mean, just a goal scorer in his own right. There's a reason the gosh darn goal trophy is named after him. And if you hadn't looked up what went on with the Richard riots and him going out there assaulting the referee, that is an entire thing in its own right, and I think this movie goes out there and summarizes it pretty well. The Rocket from 2005. A pretty interesting depiction as to what happened with Maurice Richard. This is a fictional retelling as to everything that happened. It's a dramatic movie, not a documentary, but yeah. Interesting conversations to be had here about Montreal Canadiens lore, and Florian Xhekaj may be embodying that spirit of the Rocket himself. So if Florian Xhekaj ever becomes something at the NHL level, I'm not really too sure what that's going to be honest. Like, let's say bottom six forward, aggressive, kind of aggravating kind of guy, similar to his brother, but definitely not as big. I mean, his brother's a monster. Florian's 6'2", 174, so he still kind of has to fill out a little bit more, I would say, if he wants to fully embody that role of being a top-tier enforcer. I mean, you're seeing Matt Rempe and the New York Rangers doing what he's doing. Is Florian Xhekaj going to be capable of doing similar things? Who really knows? Just taking a look at his brother Arbor. I mean, we've already sort of known that the Cowboy Arbor Wi-Fi has had some discipline issues the past few months. This is kind of why he was sent down to the AHL in the first place, and I mean, look, you're talking about point production here. He was never really a big point producer in the OHL, but he was a big point producer in the AHL with Laval this previous stint that he had. So methinks there still could be some offensive potential out of both of the Xhekaj brothers. Considering Arbor is 23 years old, Florian is only really getting up to snuff in the OHL now. There is a very interesting path that these guys could take. So all in all, the Xhekaj brothers may be embodying the spirit of Canadiens of the past. Who really knows? But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a Brampton. Oh boy, I've got the Brampton Battalion in my mind. That's a really bad mistake on my behalf. If you're a Brantford Bulldogs fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the entire Florian Xhekaj situation that had happened the other night against Mississauga. What are your thoughts on the way he's performed this season? What are your thoughts on his physicality? Do you think he could be a top-line enforcer in the NHL? Not like a top-line first-line player, but like a top-of-the-line enforcer. When you think about enforcers, who's the guys that come to mind? Do you think Florian Xhekaj could be a part of that group? And what are your thoughts about this entire situation here with the referee? Very odd stuff, I will say, but it certainly is worth talking about in my opinion. So, thoughts in the comment section below about Florian Xhekaj and the entire story so far. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.